Touchdown, Bulldogs, number 23,
Welcome inside the Saturday Morning Huddle. Now, Dan Brocker's Import Automotive Saturday Morning Huddle. Billy Beebe and Kenny Roda live with you on this Saturday morning. Kenny, I start with that highlight because I think we got to work on our handshake. I like what these guys are coming up with. It's getting more elaborate every week.
Yeah, a little dap right there, and we'll figure it out by the time the playoffs roll around. But what a crazy week number 7, Billy. I was just writing down some notes for our show here. A 70-point performance by one of our teams in Stark County. One game was called in the fourth quarter because of player scuffles and personal foul penalties. They didn't finish the game. It was called. A Stark County record was set last night, and a key player left the game with a finger injury on his throwing hand at quarterback. So that's just some of what we're going to get to today here on the Saturday Morning Huddle.
Yeah, that along with plenty of amazing matchups and scores that, of course, we cover for you weekly. We've got highlights, we've got guests, graphics to check out. Of course, we'll run down all the scores and then a couple interesting storylines I think we'll find time to get to. You talked about some record breakers, Kenny. We talked about some high-scoring games. And, of course, we will always talk food. I know your Press Box Challenge. It has a big day today, right? We got a big day today for the Press Box Challenge.
Yeah, and boy, these people are taking it serious. Northwest has set the bar so high. Everybody's coming for the Northwest Indians in the Press Box Food Fight Challenge, and McKinley brought it strong last night at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. We'll show you the video and the food a little bit later on in the show.
Well, that's if you want to come for Northwest off the field. Let's talk about on the field. If you're coming for Northwest, you better have 70+ to beat them, and that'll bring us to our first guest of the day today, Coach John DeMarco and running back Connor Satterfield. Guys, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're
Coach,
good.
We're great, man. You. Yeah, it's great to have you after a 70-45 win over Orville last night. And you and I were talking before the show, Coach. You knew it was going to be high scoring, but I'm guessing you didn't think it was going to be 70 points high scoring.
No, I didn't think we'd ever reach that level. I thought I thought we might have to get in the 40s to win. They're very good offensively. Their quarterback is a very good athlete, and I thought we might have trouble with him, and we did. He's just a very good player.
Coach, is that the most points you've scored in a game?
I got a long history to look back upon, but I can't remember any others up at that level. I was telling our kicking coach that I don't ever remember a kicker going 10 for 10 in a game. So that was when it kind of dawned on me that we scored a few points.
And for everybody out there, if you didn't get to see the game, we had it live on our YouTube channel. That was our YouTube game of the week. So you can go back on demand and watch Northwest beat Orville 70-45. And a big part of that was the outstanding running back and linebacker for the Indians, Connor Satterfield. He is our official WHBC Player of the Week, not just player of the game, Player of the Week. So congratulations, Connor, on that. 21 carries, 182 yards. 5 touchdowns while also playing linebacker. And Connor, how much fun was a game like last night where you guys get to put up 70 points in a victory?
It was great. I mean, just being able to look at your teammates and, say, you have good stats and you guys have good stats and everyone's having fun. We're having some good long drives. And we also had some short drives where, we just did a couple plays. We marched the ball down the field and just got it done. But we had a lot of fun last night.
Connor, which of the scores sticks out to you? Is there any, or are they kind of getting lost?
Personally, I think it was my longest touchdown. It was the first or second touchdown of the game where I broke one. That one meant a lot just because it was a little bit longer, I guess. It wasn't quite in the red zone. I think it was like a 25-yard touchdown or something like that. But I like that one, just had to show a little bit of speed. But I like that one the most, I think.
Connor, how much fun is it when you and Parker Kraft are dominating football games on the ground, running the football? I think you guys combined for 9 touchdowns yesterday. How much fun is it to share the wealth like that?
It's super cool. I mean, we have talked and, he puts his shoulder down just as much as I do, but, he has that next level of speed, and it's nice, being able to, have a break too. One player makes a good run and the next player's like, I'll pick up for you. You take a break, not take a break, but I'll pick up this play and you'll pick up next play. And it means a lot just going back and forth like that.
We're looking at some of the highlights here from last night's win, 70-45 over Orville. Do you, since you won the game and you scored 70 as a linebacker, I'm sure you didn't want to give up 45, but you knew they were going to score. So what's the linebacker thinking this morning about today or last night's game?
We got into film and we addressed some things, and it wasn't just the passing game that we struggled with. There was a little bit of the run game too. Like Coach was saying, it's a very, very well gifted quarterback, and he scrambled and he made big plays when he needed to, and we got to get him off the field on third down, and we just didn't do that as much last night.
And Connor, your name has been in consideration multiple times this year for our Player of the Week. Where did this performance stick out for you over really so many good games this year for you?
I think this was just another game. We came into this week high, and we knew we had to play hard. We knew Orville was going to be a good game, and if everyone's all talk about the pack, and we need to win this game if we had a chance at it. And this performance meant a lot, just because I feel like it was a game where we all had to step up, and I feel like not only I did, but a lot of other players really stepped up this week and had a very high level of performance.
All right, Billy, get that one highlight ready, because I have to ask Coach DeMarco about this. A little birdie got in my ear last night, Coach DeMarco, and said there was a play that was called in your game last night that was from a booster who won a silent auction to call one play in a game this season, and it was last night, and it was a double pass that went for a touchdown. Is my source a good source? Did this actually happen?
You got a pretty good source on this one. It's just not a touchdown club member. It's actually just a community member. It's actually a neighbor of mine who lives a few houses down, Josh Randall's. But we had a fundraiser night at the races, and we auctioned off a play call. And he put up enough money that he got to call one play, one game, and he picked this game, and this was the play he picked.
So you let him pick the game, and then he gets whatever play call it is, you have to run it in that game. Am I understanding this right?
Yes. And the question is, why don't I hire him on staff? He's one for one.
It works to perfection, Coach. So is this a play then, once he calls it, you have to put it in the playbook and go practice it, or was it something you already had in the playbook?
It was in the playbook. We actually met through the week, and I gave him about 4 or 5 plays that I thought fit what he was trying to look for. And I asked him what he liked, and he picked 2 out of that I gave, and I think he liked this one a little bit better. I gave him my play sheet before the game and looked at it, and he goes, I think I like that bubble pass. So he wanted to see that, and he specifically wanted to see it in the fourth quarter at some time. So, he made a nice contribution to our touchdown club. We greatly appreciate that. We appreciate what the touchdown club does for us. And you hear it paid off big dividends, so we're very, very pleased with that.
It paid off in 2 different ways. A nice chunk of change for the boosters, and it's Parker Kraft to Chase Badger, right? That ended up hooking up on that touchdown pass. So we want to give some love to both of those guys for completing the play like that. Coach, big win for you guys. 0-2, 5-2, right? You've won 5 in a row. What's been the difference from that 0-2 start to where you are now?
Well, I think 2 of the biggest things, one of them, we're just growing together as a team. And I think the whole team, not just one unit over the other unit, but I think the guys are getting closer together. They're rallying around each other and just coming together as a team. Offensively, we're really doing that. Our offensive line has really come together. Our backs are getting better and better. They're a nice duo back there. But I also think we're handling adversity a lot better. I think we struggled with that earlier in the year. We didn't have much experience returning, and we just didn't handle it very well. And I think we're getting a little better with that. They scored pretty rapidly, and we didn't get down last night and just kept our heads up and kept fighting away.
Connor, in your opinion, what is left for this team to kind of get better at?
I feel like we can, like Coach is saying, we're slowly week by week getting better at little things that are making a big difference. I think we can get better at everything we're doing right now, just take it to the next level. Especially, our offensive line, they really stepped it up. We have a real hard game this week, and this will definitely be a showing for us, and it'll be good for us to improve anyway, either way. But yeah.
Coach, I talked to a number of other coaches around the area, and they're so impressed with your ability to adapt your game to the players that you have. how much fun are you having? You made some changes, a quarterback change and everything like that, and it's worked for you. How much fun are you having with this team this year?
Well, every team is unique, and you enjoy every team. But I've really enjoyed watching this team grow together. And obviously, I spend a lot more time on offense, but watching our offensive line come together, and just watching our two backs, the way they work together, in the way they complement each other, and the way that they're willing to do the dirty work, whether it's blocking or carrying out a fake, or whatever they need to do. They don't take plays off. So they've been very enjoyable to watch. It's been a lot of fun, and they're getting better. It seems like each week they come out and they're a little bit better than they were the week before, and that's what you enjoy seeing. So this team has definitely been a lot of fun to be around.
Coach, what's the biggest surprise of the season for you?
Oh, I don't know. Seasons are always full of surprises. I can't say which. And you talked about choosing one quarterback over the other. We played two quarterbacks beginning of the year. We lost maybe our best receiver, Landon Cross, for 3 weeks, and Chase Badger volunteered to move out to receiver, and we got Landon Cross back this week. This is the first week he's been back for us. Practiced a little bit last week, so it was great to have him back. And we lost another receiver last night, Tristan Pennington. We still don't know. He went to the doctor last night what he's going to do, and Chase went over to take his spot.
Wow.
So it wasn't a matter of we chose one. The circumstances kind of chose it, and Chase stepped up and said he'd be willing to because he's a little better athlete and he can move out. And he's done a nice job at receiver for us. And, he caught the touchdown pass from Parker Craffer on the bubble pass there. So you just love to see things like that where guys are willing to sacrifice their individual goals for team goals and do whatever it takes to make the team better.
Connor, you want to give a shout out to your offensive lineman by name for allowing you and Parker to rack up a total of 9 touchdowns combined?
Yeah, most definitely. So our left tackle, Cody Tackett, left guard, Bradley Garber, our center, Joey Prexta, right guard, Luke Sopsley, and right tackle is Morgan Kunkel. They did a phenomenal job last night. We were watching a play, and Morgan Kunkel, we were on goal line, and they did 2 chop blocks, and he did some karate move, jumped over 2 guys, fell on the ground, got back up, and went and pancaked another kid. So the effort for them last night was just outstanding. And, if they keep playing like that, we're going to get results, and that was big for them.
And Coach, sitting pretty in the Pac-7 as well. I know it's week by week, and you try and focus just on the next game, but to be undefeated in the Pac and going for another title, that's got to be exciting late in the season.
Well, it is, but like you said, we don't really look that far ahead. We're looking for Friday night, and obviously we're going to have our work cut out for us this week, Friday night. We had CBCA, and we got to go up there, so it's going to be a challenge. But we're just week to week, and you get a little later in the season, maybe you start looking at that, maybe around week 9 or week 10. But again, though, depending on where you're at in the conference, you're just looking to win that Friday night, and that's going to be the attitude that we continue to have.
And I want to give a shout out real quick to Rick Wright with your touchdown club. He took care of our TV crew last night, our YouTube TV crew, and fed them very well. And Coach, this thing is like blowing up. And Billy's mad because he had to go to a wedding yesterday, couldn't do your game, and he missed out on the feast yesterday that was provided by Rick Wright and company. They have set the bar so high. Everybody is coming strong for you guys on the field and in the press box this year. How about that?
Well, first of all, I got to tell Billy he should not be attending a wedding because nobody should be getting married in the fall. That should be off limits right there. And I heard you guys talking a little bit about before the show about the food that you got last night and being challenged and that we were at the top. And the word from our touchdown club and the people that help serve us there is they say, bring it on. So I'll relay that message. Just bring it on, and we will step up to the challenge.
Well, we're looking forward to it because we have your game, boys. This is a doozy. I'm looking up at our schedule. Canton South at Northwest in Week 10, our Friday night finale of the regular season. I know you don't want to get too far. That's down the road and everything, but we look forward to coming out to Northwest for that one and continued success to both you guys, the team. Thanks so much for getting up with us on the Saturday morning huddle.
Oh, you got Connor out of the weight room. So we've been here since 8:30. watching films in weight room, and now we're headed to the field to do a little bit of running. So, yeah, he appreciates a little bit of distraction from that.
And congratulations on being our WHBC Player of the Week, Connor. Well deserved.
Thank you.
There they are, man. Great job by both those guys. The coach does a fabulous job. And Connor has just had a stud of a season. I mean, this kid, he is a stud, and he's had a heck of a season. And it's just amazing that they started 0-2. We had their game at Louisville. That's when they won their first game, and the season has flipped. Well, we were the good luck charm maybe for them, as they're 2-0 at least when we're doing their games, and they're racking up points and figuring out who they are and doing a great job.
Yeah, in a bubble, Kenny, 5 wins in a row is kind of difficult to think about. I'm sure when they were 0-2, thinking of 5-2 was very, very hard for them. But
right.
That old coach is saying, right, it's week 1 every week. It's, 1 week at a time. Next thing you know, you're 5-2. And as you said, Connor Satterfield has been a name that we have put up there in high regard for Player of the Week, and somebody that's really making things happen in Stark County multiple times this year. So well-deserved Player of the Week for him this week. We really felt like he would get it eventually.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, let's bring in our next guest, Billy, because they had a huge win last night. It was our Altman Hospital Radio Game of the Week, a Federal League showdown between the McKinley Bulldogs and the Lake Blue Streaks. And Antonio Hall, head coach of the Bulldogs, joins us right now after their 29-22 victory over Lake last night. Coach, thanks for getting up with us this morning on the Huddle. Congratulations on the win last night.
Appreciate it.
Coach, you and I talked after the game, and I mentioned to you in our post-game interview, starting fast. That hasn't been something that's happened on a regular basis for you guys. You've always seemed to be playing uphill. That wasn't the case last night. You jump out to a 14-0 lead. What was the key to that great start for you guys last night?
I think just being comfortable in the game plan. We had a really good week of practice. That's where it all starts. We had a really good day before practice. Pre-game was going pretty well. Guys seemed focused. So they executed at a high level, and it paid off on the field.
And, Coach, on the field, this is a Lake defense that's highly regarded locally. What was the game plan, and how do you feel like you guys came away with so many points?
Well, and, in very well regard, because Lake's defense is a very good defense. And, it was a lot of challenges for us to scheme and try to see, where we could attack them, because they are sound and solid across the board, and they do have great players across the board. But it was really just trying to take what they gave us. If they overloaded this side, we wanted to go to the other side. If they wanted to put 7 in the box, we put it in the air. If they wanted to play coverage, we run the ball. So it was pretty much just a situation of trying to capitalize and taking what they gave us.
And Keaton Roda did a great job of that yesterday. He was our Old Carolina Barbecue Player of the Game. Coach will give his numbers, and you talk about efficiency. As a coach, you have to love 13 for 16, 230-plus yards, a touchdown. He ran for 35 more, kicked 3 extra points, almost nailed a 45-yard field goal.
Right.
It hit the crossbar. I saw his reaction to that. But how has he grown not only from the last couple of years, but from game to game this year, Coach?
Oh, tremendously. And it's shown, probably the past month. Of course, everyone wants to bring up the first half of the Green game, but again, that was an anomaly. All those picks weren't on him. And the past 2 weeks, he's battled back. His week of preparation has intensified. You could just see a hotter fire burning in him as we move close to the end of the season, of him wanting to produce and us play our best football as we move forward. And hopefully that permeates and augments through the locker room.
Coach, Keaton's a name we knew coming into the season, Dante McClellan, Nino Hill, but it seems, especially the past couple of weeks, we're seeing new names. We're seeing different guys step up for you. Would you agree with that? Have you kind of noticed that?
Yeah, we put a huge emphasis in development with our young people, all the way down to middle school. In the off season, my staff, we spend one night a week with our youth players, with our middle school players, with our freshman players, just so they're getting that development. And it's starting to pay dividends. We have a lot of freshmen playing JV and some playing varsity. We have a lot of sophomores and juniors at the beginning of the season that weren't playing are now in the rotation because they're developing and getting better.
How exciting is it for you and Bedry, your offensive coordinator, to have a couple of running backs that you can go to? Nino's the bigger, more powerful guy, and then you got the smaller, diminutive one, right? In Stephon Thomas, who had 2 more touchdown runs. How do you keep both those guys happy? Because they could both be starters and feature backs on any team in Stark County this year.
Yeah, and we have a lot of weapons. I mean, across the board, and the fact that, we have a quarterback that can run and throw it. We have about 6 receivers in the rotation that we trust. And now we have 2 running backs. Guys are just understanding that it really is a team. And whether you get 5 touches or 15 touches, you got to produce and maximize the opportunities that you get.
Coach, with how difficult it is, how proud are you that your squad sits atop the Federal League right now? We're a type of program that doesn't look up, but we understand that we're still undefeated in the Federal League with 2 games to go, and we haven't done anything yet or accomplished anything yet, and I hope that's the mindset we keep as we move forward.
Teaching moments, Coach, right throughout the year, there's plenty of them.
Plenty.
I'm asking this question based on what I saw last night. You guys dominated the first half. You're up 23-7. I talked to Dan DeGeorge at halftime. I said, what'd you tell your guys? He said, well, I want to see what we're made of, right? Because they kicked our butts in the first half. Let's see what we're made of. Well, they come out, they outscore you guys in the second half and make a game of it to where you had to recover an onside kick. So what was the message, good and adjustments, teaching moments after the game to your team where Lake got back in the game, but you still won the game?
Yeah, I mean, turnovers and penalties ultimately. We had an early turnover that allowed them to get back in the game. And then we had put the ball on the ground a couple more times, and they got one late in the game, which led to a score that, led to the onside kick. And so, we have to put 2 halves together. We have to stay focused and play a high level of execution football for 4 quarters. And we've only done that once so far this year. And so we're still trying to figure that out.
All right, guys, let's talk about our special guests at your game last night, Coach, both on the sideline and in the press box. I'll do the first one here, Kenny, on the sideline. Coach, this picture here, my man Kenny Roda with Tim Knowles of Ohio State.
Yeah.
What's it like having, I'm sure you get to meet and talk with Coach Knowles there, but what's it like having him on his off week coming to watch Canton McKinley?
It's cool. It's very cool that, the Buckeyes are in the building. He came by yesterday afternoon, talked for a little bit, and then see him come back that evening for the game. That means that he has a sincere interest on, guys on our squad and what we're doing here at Camp McKinley. So, it's very cool to have him in the building.
He and I had a short conversation, but he said, this is a pretty good game. I said, yeah, Coach, it's our featured game of the week, and it's a pretty physical one. I'm sure you're enjoying it. And, of course, the fist up and the big win over Notre Dame and everything like that. What's it mean to you, though, and the program that word's getting out now that, okay, maybe things were down for a while, but you're starting to turn this around, Coach, and you've got players that are getting Power 5 looks?
Well, it's not me. I'm in a position to put some people in place that have huge impacts, and it really is a team effort. Everything from our athletic administration down to my assistant coaches to our support staff to the booster club. It really is an all-in effort, and we seem to be inching this thing forward in the right direction. And I'm just blessed to have some great people around me who share my vision and want to roll up the sleeves and put the elbow grease in and get this program back to where we all want it to be.
Billy, I love his competitive attitude and spirit, and I found out where it comes from yesterday at this game because I met Antonio's mom, Venus, yesterday in the press box before the game, and she came up, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said, I don't ever want to hear anything bad about McKinley's food again in the press box. And she went out and took care of us. And there she is with Rick Worstell and I, Scratch Steakhouse. It felt like it was a 1 pound pork chop that we each got with the au gratin potatoes and the green beans from the Scratch Steakhouse in Louisville. So thank you, Scratch. There's me devouring that sucker before the game.
Yeah, man.
And then
you like Fred Flintstone on there.
Coach, I love to eat, man. And that pork chop yesterday, it was so big. I brought it back. I'm going to have it while I watch some college games today. And then Kenny Peterson steps up. Nothing but cakes for dessert. You see those right there.
Yeah.
Plus, Joe Bogdan, we had burgers. We had hot dogs that were up there as well. So shout out to your mom, Dana Rhodey, Alex Vasquez's mom. They all got together and made sure we were fed. And Coach, coming up later in the show, we'll let you know now that you guys are in the top 3 for sure in the rankings right now, coming from nowhere to move into the top 3. And we're going to reveal that later in the show. So thank you to you and your mom. And like I said, I know where that competitive spirit comes from.
Without a doubt, and, her and Dana and Alex's mom and, a lot of the senior moms, they feed our kids every Thursday. My mom shows up still, and it's cool to have your mom around the program.
It is a family affair, isn't it? I mean, you're trying to create that family in the locker room, but to get the parents involved once again, to be a part of it, a good crowd there last night. Not only you have to love the results on the field, but the community starting to really get behind this team.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because, despite, the things we're still working through on the field, our kids are starting to get the right mindset, the fight, and just finding a way to win. And ultimately, as long as you keep that, everything else will fall in the wash.
Hey, Billy, real quick here. He yelled at me yesterday walking off the field because I didn't get him on the huddle last week. Coach, you changed your phone number, okay? So here, I texted you last night again to come on the huddle this morning, and I got a phone call back from Antonio Hall. It popped up on my phone, right? And I answer, I go, "What's up, Antonio?" He goes, "This isn't Antonio. He changed his number. Leave me alone." So that's why last week I had the wrong number and I sent the text to this gentleman. So I apologize to him and apologize to you. I've got your new number now in my phone.
No sweat. Every about 24, 36 months, I change up. So
give me a heads up next time, all right? Hey, he would have blocked me if they would have lost last night. I wasn't the black cat last night. I wasn't the jinx.
Listen, you weren't the jinx, but I'll tell you what, you and some of your colleagues from other stations are having the same conversations. Like, what is this? All you media guys. It's like, and I was telling them, it's like, you'll be watching the game and they'll say, "Oh, this quarterback has had 225 completions without an interception. Next play, interception." Or this running back, he's carried the ball 300 times with no fumbles. Next play. And then y'all talking about we haven't lost to Lake and something. I'm like, here we go.
Hey, you didn't lose. That's 9 in a row now over Lake, and a well-prepared game plan, well executed with a few miscues here and there, but in the end, you got the victory. So congratulations on the win. Thanks for the fabulous food and continued success this year. And we're going to see you down the road for sure, Coach. All right.
Sounds good. You guys have a good one.
All right, there he is. I got his new phone number too, Billy. I'm good to go now. Seriously, you and I converse on my drive home, right, from the game about, hey, Saturday morning huddle. Who are we going to get? Who's coming on the show today? Who do you want to get? And I said, well, I reached out to Antonio, and after I hung up with you, the phone call came in. I hit my steering wheel, pulled up the call, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Antonio?" And this guy's like, "I just want you to know this isn't Antonio's number anymore." I'm like, "I apologize. I won't bother you with a text or a phone call ever again." And that's when I asked you for a new number, and I asked JT for Antonio's new number. So we got it all squared away. We're good to go.
Yeah, you got to wonder, Kenny, how many times have you thought, "Oh, Antonio never texted me back. Oh, I never heard back from Coach Hall. I don't know." And then here we are. You never had the right number, or never got the change and whatnot. But that was great. That was really fun talking food, talking football, talking family. What else can you ask for in a Saturday morning huddle segment?
That's what it's all about. And once again, Billy, we want to give some love to our title sponsor because we couldn't do this without our sponsors getting up early every morning and providing you with the coverage that we have here for Stark County High School football. And the Saturday morning huddle is driven by Brockers Import Automotive. Brockers Import Automotive has been serving the automotive needs of import, exotic, and domestic car owners since 1946. Boy, you've been around that long. You're doing something right. They are family owned and operated and are located on Altman Road in North Canton. You can check them out online at brockersimport.com. That's BRAUCHERS import.com. Thank you so much for supporting high school football and the Saturday morning huddle. We really, really appreciate it. So having a lot of fun with the set. Billy, this is week 7. Hard to believe, week 7 is in the budget. We're headed to week 8. Forget that it's week 7. We're going into week 8, and a lot of things taking shape with finding out how good teams are and the standings in the various conferences and in the leagues, in the races that we have left. So I'm excited for the final 3 weeks of this regular season.
As am I. I thought, I had to take these last 2 weeks off to be at weddings, and I kind of thought, all right, middle of the season, nothing big. I think I missed 2 of maybe the most chaotic and crazy weeks that we've had in high school football. And we talked about it at the beginning of the show, Kenny, but last night was just a real interesting one. A lot of on the field stories, but some other stuff that's kind of intermixed and kind of off the field. And I know if we could real quick, I think Massillon is one people are wondering about. There's questions out there. What exactly happened with the Massillon game last night?
Yeah, from what and we weren't there obviously because we did McKinley Lake, but from what I've heard, I'm pulling up my notes, right now. Massillon played St. John's College out of DC, and St. John's got out to a 7-0 lead on a 63-yard touchdown pass. Massillon comes back, they're leading 28-7, but St. John's 16 penalties, 157 yards in the game. And Massillon, 7 penalties, 72 yards. So you're looking at basically 230 yards of penalties. So it got chippy. I guess there were personal foul penalties, some scuffles going on. And with just under 7 minutes left in the game, the officials got together after a play or a hit, whatever it was, and things got almost out of hand. So they just said, you know what, that's it. We're done. Game's over. And they called it with 6:45 left to go in the fourth quarter. So that was one of the storylines from that game, right, Billy? The other storyline was that DeJuan Owens was cleared by the OHSAA to resume playing for the Massillon Tigers after there was a question about him transferring and the paperwork, and they had to go through all of that. Well, they gave him the thumbs up, and he did play last night. And DeJuan Owens, 7 of 16 for 153 yards, 1 touchdown pass, 43 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown on the ground. So Massillon wins. Owen played 7-0 Massillon now, and that game was called with 6:45 to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, an interesting, of course, storyline there, and maybe we could ask another coach about it, Kenny, but it just seems like at a certain point it might be player safety. And then you like the fact that everybody met in the middle, both coaches met in the middle, officials are there, they talk it out, and everybody kind of agrees the best thing to do is end the game. And, there wasn't a storyline coming out of it that this team was too much or that team was too much or we saw too much of, this player doing this. It's both teams kind of agreed, hey, this thing has kind of been very physical. Before it gets out of control, let's agree to stop the game. So it seems like that's how it kind of worked out.
Yeah, and one other story, and we're going to get to it a little bit later, good news and bad news. Poochie Snyder sets the Stark County career yards passing record, but hurt his pinky finger in that game, left and didn't return. We'll have more information on that a little bit later on here on the Saturday morning huddle. But let's bring in a guy. You talk about huge wins last night, right? This was a rematch of playoff games from the last 2 years for Central Catholic, and their outstanding head coach, Jeff Lindesmith, joins us now inside the huddle. Coach, third time's a charm for you. Third time against Coldwater, victory, state championship. Third time against Mogador. They beat you twice in the playoffs. You play them in the regular season. You get a 2013 win last night. Congratulations on that. And how was your team able to come away with that big victory?
Oh, thanks. Hey, yeah, it's nice to get a big win like that. We try to keep in perspective. It's just week 7. Both teams are a little bit different. They have been in the past, but I think our defense really should get a little bit more credit than sometimes they have. They they played a lot better. We gave a couple of pass plays that we didn't like, but our defense made them earn every yard. And Mogador's a physical team, not maybe the biggest team, but they really are rugged. They like to knock people down. I thought our linebacking core, John Hoffaker, Brock Abbott, Connor Thomas played very, very well last night for us, and took a couple of their big run plays that they execute very, very well away from them. I think that was probably the biggest difference. Offensively, we weren't real happy how we performed last night. Did not block very well. I just left our meeting room, and it was a little bit somber because our kids realized that some things that we've done all year long, they didn't execute very well. And you got to give their hats off to Mogador a little bit. They did some things defensively and double gapped us, did some things that in their blitz package to take some plays away, and our kids didn't adjust very well. But, hey, we'll take the win, right? We'll take it and move on, and it's always nice. And, a couple of those players that played in the last couple of years, I got some nice texts from them last night. They were excited to finally beat them. So, we're keeping it in perspective. We've got to just keep getting better, and that's important.
Coach, when you're getting the schedule together, is the opportunity that you possibly may have to play Mogador again later in possible playoff play, is that something you have to consider, or is it just kind of, hey, this is a team we are familiar with and have a good rivalry with?
Yeah, you know what? No. We struggle to get 10 games, tell you the truth. And up at Mogador, it's a great program. The teams has 4 state championships, I think, to their pedigree up there. They play great football, and it was nice that they want to play us. I think their program is to the point where, they have some trouble scheduling some games out of their league. And it's just 2 good, really good programs. I told a guy last night after the game, 2 small schools that a lot of kids are out there playing games, but they play it hard with great effort, tackle, hit, ferocious game, and it's just fun. So schedule-wise, when we got to play them in the playoffs, we'll play them in the playoffs. That's okay. That's a long way down the road.
Coach, here's what I love about watching your teams play, and especially in a game like that against Mogador. If you're just a fan who didn't know anything about either team, you wouldn't know that you're small school. It's when the ball is snapped, right, and your guys are lined up, and it's mano a mano, right? It's just good football regardless of size of school. How do you bring that out in your guys? Because you play such a tough schedule and you play up so much, but it looks like you belong no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, I think that's effort and preparation is a big thing. And understand that 6-second battle against anybody. I don't know how many times I tell them I'd love to go against Miles Garrett, and they laugh. But just give me 6 seconds with him. And they just chuckle, and I go, all right, maybe when I was younger. But they get the point. You win. It doesn't matter who you're up against. It's got to be a team effort. If we don't play well as a team and all 11 guys don't go very well, it can get embarrassing at times. And so our kids know that. And if you can win that quick battle and move on to the next play and stay focused, you give yourself a chance. There's nothing like hard work and effort every snap. And we expect that and demand that out of our players.
Coach, heading into week 8, how do you deliver the message and kind of operate on the fact that it's a long season and things change, the game changes and the team changes? How do you operate over time, coaching wise?
Yeah. You know what? I don't know if I told you guys last time I was on the show, we thought our first 7 games, we were going to break that in half almost. The first 4 were going to be some really peaks and valleys. And I just got done telling our kids that and they realized the first 4, how young we were, some people just getting used to what we were trying to do varsity wise. The next 3, which we just went against, we thought was going to be the second quarter of our season. And a physical, we're beat up a little bit and we're sore and we're going to recover. And then the next 3 games are going to be the third quarter. And we thought that was going to be important. And the improvements, and like our kids did not accept the films very well this morning. The improvement that we've had up to, week 6, we thought were great. And then all of a sudden last night was not the improvement. So the third quarter of the year comes right now, the last 3 games. And then if the playoffs, as we always say, that's fourth quarter. That's all you got to worry about is one play in the fourth quarter and go. But that's how we break it up a little bit. Now, week 8 comes. I don't know. We play Collinwood. I don't know a whole lot about them. I haven't seen them, but I think our kids now understand weekly improvement, weekly preparation is the most important thing. Us as a team, and see how it goes.
You mentioned some guys are dinged up. Brendan Betts left the game. Dan Bourne left the game last night. Those guys okay, Coach? Because I know they came back in, but they okay this morning?
Yeah, they were okay. I think I was running a little bit faster than those guys were this morning. But they're banged up a little bit, and we thought we'd be banged up. It was the first time I've ever heard somebody had a scorpion move on them. And you guys, I don't know what it is, but Danny Boron said he got scorpion through the game. I thought he got bit by a bug, but apparently he got bent back, and that's a scorpion thing. I don't know, Kenny. Maybe you knew.
Must be a wrestling thing, right, Coach?
I don't know. It's some WWE, so I was kind of like chuckling, looking for like a spider bite or something on him, but nothing. He said somebody did a scorpion. So I said, okay. But no, they're okay. I think they'll be fine. Obviously we ask a lot of Danny Boron, and he gets a lot of touches, and he does some great things for us. And he was banged up going into this week. Mentor Lake Catholic put a pretty good whooping on him, and he recovers. It's a guy that hits the weight room hard. He hit it hard again this morning, understands how important it is to rehab and get off, and we'll be okay for week 8.
I want to jump in here real quick again, Billy, with this thought. Rick Worstell and I were talking before the game. We have the All Care Stadium show, 90 minutes. We go through scores and individual stat leaders. And, Dan Boren, he's all over the place, right? Touchdowns, rushing yards, receiving. So we were trying to come up with a nickname. We want him to change his last name like Joe Theismann did years ago. Remember Joe Theismann? His real name was Joe Thiesman. He changed it to Theismann because it rhymed with Heisman. So we came up with this nickname. Instead of Boron, we want him to call him his last name. We want him to say it's Boren, so we can call him Dan Scorin Boren. What do you think?
Yeah, it's possible. I'll ask him, and I'll let
All
you
right.
and Rick know that if it's possible. But, yeah, he does a lot for us. Another pick last night, had a big interception for us, big touchdown catch. Rushes the ball really, and really he's just a true leader. Our young kids, just watch him. It's amazing how hard he works in practice. It was amazing how hard he worked in the off season to get ready for the year.
All right, Coach, I looked it up just so we could all figure out what's going on here. The scorpion is a yoga pose.
Okay.
So I got it pulled up right there for you.
Man.
I'm feeling for your guy. I'm feeling for him.
There you go. Hey, if you keep that on the screen or send that to me, I'll put Dan Boron's face and things inside that. I'll send that to him.
Billy, text that to him, all right? So he can
There you
use
go.
that for the next meeting. That'll be the first thing they see in the next meeting.
Yeah.
Coach,
Yeah,
can you do that? Are you that
like
flexible?
that.
No way. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
Not
me
a
neither.
chance. Not a chance.
I
Now
can't
I know
even-
why it hurts if you got bent that way. That's for sure.
Coach, I can't even touch my toes, let alone do that. So, yeah, that's pretty painful.
Amazing.
Coach, how do you – a big win, obviously, right? How do you keep the focus in this Jim Thome term there for the next game so these kids don't think, hey, we beat the team we lost to in the playoffs, we've arrived?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no question that you got to see our kids. They're how somber they were after films, and then we did
Okay.
some things last night we haven't did all year. So, they're starting to get mature enough to understand exactly. It's just not about wins, but it's how you play the game. It's how you execute. And we had some kids that didn't execute like they did for 7 weeks. They were upset with themselves. I actually told them I was kind of embarrassed to have somebody watch some of the things we did on film. And they look up like I'm crazy, but it's just not the way we should play football. And so you kind of keep them grounded that way, Kenny. And we'll do that. And boy, you'll see practice Monday. We'll be hopping around, and this old guy will be going crazy out there and trying to get some energy up and get them back to the way I think they can play. And sometimes you got to make sure kids understand. You got to strive to be great. I want to be great in everything you do, and not just satisfied and say, "Oh, okay, we got to win. We're moving on. And who do we play? Can we win that game?" It's not about that. It's about wanting to be better and better every day.
And I've got to give some love. Pronounce his last name for me, Coach. Your offensive lineman, who was the homecoming king last night.
There you go.
What's Gabe's last
Gabe
name?
Grisey. Gabe Grisey.
Okay.
And he was the homecoming king. He's a starting guard for us, plays a little defensive tackle. And it was a good night. And, of course, I forgot about it at halftime. I think I was supposed to send him out a little bit earlier than I did. But I think one of our coaches eventually got him out there so he can get some pictures and things. But that's my fault. I just get too consumed. And next thing you know, I'm on the chalkboard and he takes off. But it was fine. Yeah, it's a nice thing. And his dad's my defensive coordinator. And I think his dad, when I coached him, was the homecoming king in 1989. So a little family tradition. I called him royalty last night. The whole family's royalty, for sure.
You bow to him every time now he comes in the room. You got to bow to both the father and the son.
There you go. Exactly.
Hey, Coach, congrats on the huge win last night. Good health the rest of the way. We'll see you down the road, and we always appreciate you coming on the Saturday morning huddle with us.
No problem, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks,
You
Coach.
too. Love Trucker, Linda Smith. Big win for them last night, taking down Mogador, the team that beat them in the playoffs last year. So happy for them, and let's hope they stay healthy. Smaller schools like that, boy, 1 or 2 injuries can really derail your entire season. Who's our next guest here, Billy?
We are going to kick it to another coach who could tell us about the good and the bad of big wins, Kenny, this season, as Coach Brian Baum of the Hoover Vikings joins us now. Coach, good morning. A 37-34 overtime win. Congrats on that one.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Coach, we did your game last week against McKinley. You came up short, but you come back against a tough Perry team and get an overtime victory. What was practice like this week? Could you tell your guys were able to put that one in the rearview mirror and knew they were going to play hard and get a win this week?
Yeah, I really liked our effort the week before. They carried through with the same effort into practice this week, what we needed to do. And, each week with these guys, they're striving to get better. And like I said, there's a roller coaster in a high school football season. And, we felt that McKinley lost, and we wanted to make sure we're on the right end. And, last night was a roller coaster game, and last play was ours, and we were able to get the win.
Coach, tell us a little bit about the Federal League. You guys are banging up against different teams. I feel like it's getting jammed a little bit with wins and losses. What's so special right now?
You just never know what's going to happen on a Friday night. Everyone can think who's going to win, but the Federal League will surprise you. And a lot of times it comes down to who the healthiest team is and who executes and turnovers. Everyone's good, well coached in the Federal League. You're going to see good offense, good defenses. And, you got to find your little niche that Friday night to make things go your way.
37-34, the final in overtime. Hoover beats Perry. Coach, I'm curious about, you have a game plan for the 4 quarters, right? But then all of a sudden, you've got to come up with another game plan because it's going to overtime. Is that something you have in the back of your mind each and every week? What your plays are for overtime, or do you adjust it based on what happened in that game that night?
Yeah, you're adjusting to what's going on in that game, what's working. And, we ran a play there. We only got one play, and it worked. I was proud of the defense. They really stepped up, did a great job, got the stop. They got some guys that were real scrappy last night, and we got the stop there. They kicked the field goal. We knew we just needed to put it in the end zone to get the win. And, we were thinking, because you have a little delay before it starts. And, okay, hey, let's get 3 of the ball in space. And they're like, hey, we haven't run this yet this game. So we had it in the holster, popped it out there. And, as soon as they made the call, it's like, I think it's going to pop. I think it's going to pop. And, I think a lot of us felt that. And sure enough, it looked like they were running the slow-mo, and Mason was just taking off there. So Ashby did a great job getting in the end zone. It was great blocking, and he made the right cuts, made the right reads. It was a good effort.
And, Billy, I can attest to Ashby's speed because we saw it the week before. He carved up that McKinley defense a couple of times on a kick return and on a pass play. Coach, is he one of the fastest players you've ever had?
Yeah, he can motor. I don't want to say he's sneaky fast because people always have the wrong angle on him. I guess they don't expect him to be as fast as he is. But the kick and motor, you'd think after 3 years of making plays, people would adjust their angles for him.
Yeah, Coach, and I want to ask you while we're talking Ashby, I know Antonio Hall talked about trying to kick away from him, and we know many coaches have done that. Am I overthinking it? Is there a way you can counter that if they're kicking away from him, or is it just you got to wait to get the ball in his hands?
Yeah, you can move some things around, but I kind of laughed that night because I was like, we had McKinley kicking out of bounds on us. I don't know if that's ever happened for us, and that was kind of a unique thing there. But no, you can move him around a little bit and try to. It's a chess game. We were trying to kick away from 20 last night. Perry was doing the same thing last night, hiding where 20 is going to be, and it's a chess match back here with the special teams.
How much do you enjoy that as a coach from week to week? You're friends with these guys. We get together at the end of the year to pick the all-county team, and we see the conversations, and it's a fraternity of coaches in Stark County. But for you, how much do you enjoy the chess match from week to week, knowing who your opponent is, knowing that guy that you're going up against as a head coach?
It's a lot of fun. I don't care what it is, offense, defense, special teams. It's soundly coached in the Federal League. And you've got, like I said, you've got to figure out what's going to work. And sometimes your plan blows up in your face. You got to readjust on the fly. Other times, like, this worked out just like we wanted to, like we expected it to. And, Perry did some different things last night that they don't usually do on defense. And, I was like, we had to adjust on the fly. They forced us to get it. And I thought our guys really adapted well, especially with the O-line up front there. And, I was proud of our effort.
All right, Coach, we got some of the guys with us.
Yeah, I got Mason Ashby and Kyler Maragley with us tonight. Both great efforts last night.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll give their numbers. How about this? Mason Ashby, 6 grabs, 85 yards, and a touchdown in the air. He also a 20-yard TD run. He wins the game in overtime. Kyler Maragley, 22 carries, 126 yards, and a touchdown. So let's bring those guys in, Coach, and pick their brains a little bit here and get their thoughts on the season so far and the big overtime win last night against Perry.
Absolutely. Here's Mason and Kyler.
Hey, guys, congratulations, man, on the win last night. How good does it feel when you get a walk-off win? And every win's great, but to get a walk-off win in overtime, if you both could comment on that, on the excitement and the feeling you get from that.
Yeah, it felt really nice. We needed that win bad. Going 0-2 in the Federal League, didn't expect it, but after that game, our team morale is really up, ready for next week. So
I thought it was great. Our team effort was there. Our sidelines were there. The coaching staff did a great job for the schemes and everything. We just had to go out and play our game.
Guys, we're just talking about a chess match for Coach, all the work he had to do to kind of adapt. What was he looking like on the sideline? What tell us what he was up to.
He's a screamer, so you got to watch out for the screaming. But
yeah, we just watched film today after the overtime TD. We saw some excitement over there. Yeah, fist pumps.
He was going crazy,
running down the sidelines. So love to see
Connor,
that.
For you, they call that play. They felt like it was going to pop, and it popped. Break it down for us. Take us through, hearing what the play call is going to be in the huddle, breaking the huddle, looking at the defense, and then seeing, as the play develops.
Yeah. We put that play in this week in practice, and it wasn't called throughout the game. And I was like, what are we doing? And then overtime comes, and I hear the play call, and I was like, I told my offensive line, this play, they won't be ready for this. And my wide receivers blocked well the whole game. Same with the O-line, and I saw a hole, and I took it. So,
I'm Mason, right? We're talking to Mason Ashby?
Yeah, Mason.
Okay. Just double check.
Did I call him Connor?
Yeah, you almost threw me off, Kenny.
By the way, how's your brother doing, man?
He's doing good. He's up at Kent practicing, so
all right. There's so many Ashbys at Hoover. I looked down, and that's my mistake. So that's a fumble turnover on me. My bad, guys.
You're good. You're good.
How many times a week you get called, Connor?
Some of my coaches mess with me with that, but not a lot.
And for Kyler, for you, adapting to the team kind of in a new environment, how's that been? And as you get later into the season, what do you think the biggest difference is at North Canton?
I think the biggest difference is just the competition in the Federal League. You have to go out and trust your guys every single week. And, it's just being on the same page, getting better, and in practice, working on the different things that we change up and kind of just how the way of the flow of Federal League goes.
Mason, we had you last week against McKinley, and I saw your speed up close on the sidelines, okay? I was impressed with it. We talked to Coach about it. Teams, do you feel disrespected at times by the angles that teams take, or the fact that because you turned the corner against McKinley, and I thought they're going to get you, but you just turned on the afterburners. Just what goes through your mind, from week to week when you're able to break away from players like that on a regular basis, it seems like.
Speed, I love to have it. It's not many people have it, but I love to use it when I get the ball. Just find a hole, take it, and put on the burners.
And Kyler, what's it like watching Mason when he gets the ball and turns the corner like that, and okay, pay dirt?
Oh, I already know when he gets the ball, a play's gonna happen. He's really fast, so I like when he gets the ball and just being able to block for him and watching our receivers go out and block for him.
Is Mason officially the fastest on the team? Have you guys done like a race or something?
There's a kid named Jack Andrews that's pretty quick.
I wouldn't say that.
But I think
wouldn't say
Mason's
that.
got him a little bit, but Jack Andrews is
My 40 times better. So,
What is that 40 time, Mason?
I'd say a 4.60 right now, but in game speed, it's probably faster. So,
I was going to say, do you feel like you run faster? And when somebody's chasing you, logic says you're probably going to run faster. Is that accurate?
Yeah, for sure. My adrenaline's going. So I just, on that kickoff return, I just keep pumping my arms and I feel like I'm flying. So.
All right, guys, we talked earlier with Coach at Northwest, and one of the boosters got to call a play for the team. So I'll give you guys the opportunity here. If you were calling a play, what would you choose? What's your pick? Don't give away any terminology or anything, but
I'd go a wide receiver pass. That's all I'm gonna say. A wide receiver pass.
I'm gonna have to agree.
Kyler?
Or you let me throw the ball. It could be dangerous.
There you go. Okay. Something to look for down the road here as we're entering week 8 of the high school football season. Happy to have with us Kyler Maraglia and Mason Ashby. Big win for Hoover last night, 37-34 in overtime over Perry. All right, guys, you're enjoying this morning. We're talking to you, but next game, right? So what's going to be the key to get a win next week?
Playing Lake is always a tough week. So we got to come into practice ready, keep our heads down 100%, and we got to stop the run and move the ball on offense.
Exactly what he said. Lake, I've been watching the film. Their defense is pretty sound. So, just got to get the O-line on the same page, make sure they get their blocks, receivers run the routes, and, make sure Carson does good. So, I think that's what we got to look forward to next week.
Yeah, we haven't even given Carson any love this morning. His numbers, 18 of 27, 252, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So Carson Derlin, your quarterback, having an outstanding season. What's it like catching passes from him, Mason?
It's awesome. Seeing the improvement from sophomore year to this year is far. He's improved so much over these past 3 years, and it's just amazing catching passes from him.
All right, guys, I like it. Best of luck the rest of the season. We know you got some big Federal League matchups, and kind of crazy we're finishing out the season here, but we appreciate you guys and Coach joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there they are. I'll get it right this time. Mason Ash, and I did that before the show too. I'm thinking of Connor, shortstop, Kent State, quarter, everything. And so as long as there's an Ashby in Hoover, I think Coach is happy, whichever one it is, right, Billy?
Yeah, and of course I didn't mean to call Kenny out. I myself, I thought, man, maybe I messed up now. I'm checking down, and we got it right at the end of the day. So shout out the Ashbys overall at North Canton. We know that name has a lot of legendary recognition so far, and a big win for Hoover as they continue to kind of fight through and figure things out in the Federal League. Another team, Kenny, that continues to battle in the Federal League is Glen Oak as they get a huge win over Jackson last night. Now we bring in Coach Scott Garcia. Coach, great game last night, and congratulations on another big win.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Coach, we hear throughout the season, we're getting better. We're close. Well, your record, 3-4 in the games that you've played this year, boy, it really screams that, right? There were some games you probably could be 4-3 or maybe 5-2, but you were able to put it together last night and get a win 21-16 over a good Jackson team. What was the key and the difference last night?
We were able to Adrian Milk Burt was he's been kind of battling injuries all year, and he's back 100%, and we played him last night, and he ran wild.
Coach, you've had big wins. You'd have tough losses. What have you noticed about the Federal League this year?
It's the same as it is always, every year. It's everybody's pretty equal as far as talent. It's a well-coached league. Everybody's going to play hard. There's a lot of natural rivalries, and
it's almost it's like it's been for the last however many years. It's Federal League football. Anything can happen any given night.
You mentioned Adrian Burt, I think 199 yards rushing and a touchdown. Avante Burt with a touchdown. And that's great on offense. But to hold that Jackson team, Coach, to 16 points, well, what was the game plan going in, and how were you guys able to execute to keep Lucas Eckerman and that offense to only 16 points yesterday?
Yeah, we were number one. We played hard. We played physical. And, we gave them some different looks in the secondary and brought pressure. And that was the key. We got pressure on Eckerman, and I'm not sure how many sacks we had, but, we got after him and made plays all over the field.
Is it as simple as your team's getting better as the year goes on, Coach?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, we, ever since the Fitch game, even the Fitch game, we played hard. We've made a lot of mistakes throughout the season. We were able to limit those this past week or last night, and that was the key. We've been playing hard all year. Our team doesn't quit. We're over all that stuff. We're back to playing Glen Oak football. If we can eliminate a lot of those mistakes, we're going to be dangerous.
You start the game up 7-0 on the opening kickoff, Coach. Doesn't get any better than that, right? So what were you seeing out there, with the opening kickoff?
It's something we put a lot of time into. We put a lot of time into our special teams, and that's been getting better. Last week we almost broke 3 of them. We had 160 yards in returns last week, and we were able to get this one. So it's something our kids take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, Jalen McElroy took it back 90 yards, Billy, to give them a 7-0 lead. A lot easier playing from in front, right, Coach, instead of trying to climb that hill and get back to even and then take the lead, right?
No question about it.
Coach, who else is sticking out for you right now as you're playing so well?
Again, our offensive line played really well. Austin Morrison at tight end. I have Matt Rex just here with me this morning. We're over at the JV game. And, he's a sophomore fullback, kind of a throwback guy. He doesn't get, obviously all the attention that the Burts and Jamar Johnson and those guys get, but he's the guy that's opening up holes all year. And he's just a throwback fullback and a tough kid, and only a sophomore.
And knowing how you like to play football, Coach, that's got to be a favorite of yours, right? Fullback, blocking back, tough kid. That's got to be high on Scotty Garcia's list, right?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Let's shoot it to him, Coach. Let's talk to him a little bit.
Yeah, let's grab him up there.
There we go.
How you doing?
There he is. Hey, getting some love. How about that? Bringing the fullback on the Saturday morning huddle. Congratulations on the win. What did it feel like last night, beating Jackson and contributing in the way that you did?
It was pretty sweet. I know senior night, homecoming night too. Big win, big Federal League win. We could finally finish one off. It was great.
Talk to us a little bit about your position. Why do you feel it's so important?
I get to open up like big holes for the running back, and it's important so that he can hit the holes and score touchdowns.
The physicality, that part of it, you like that a lot?
Oh, I love it. It's awesome.
Where does that come from? I mean, most guys like to score touchdowns. You're smiling from ear to ear because of the physicality. Where does that come from?
My dad played fullback, so it's always been like a big position for me. He played fullback at Youngstown State. So, yeah.
Are you able to tell that Coach kind of has that love for you at that position?
A little bit. Hope he does, yeah. But I've been getting some good reps. Been getting a lot more reps than I was earlier, so that's good, yeah.
And Coach, how happy are you that this is a sophomore contributing to your team, and you're going to have him for 2 more years?
Yeah, that's awesome to have a kid like this. He's a good kid, great student, the whole work. So, yeah, we need more guys like him.
And Coach, what is the biggest thing that you want to maybe improve on or emphasize for the rest of the year for your team?
Really could continue to eliminate the mistakes, the stupid penalties and the just some of the dumb things we've done all year. If we can eliminate those, we're going to give ourselves a chance. We're like I said, we're playing back Glen Oak football, playing physical football. Kids they're playing their butts off. They're like I said, they haven't given up in any game, and we're starting to turn that corner and get over the hump that we've been trying to get over.
You mentioned a number of sacks last night, Coach. I read in the paper David Potter with 2 sacks. What does he bring to your defense?
energy. I mean, he's one of those kids. He's a lot like Matt. He's a junior, and he's actually, when we get into our 2 fullback sets, he's our second fullback, and but he's another one that's a throwback. He plays with a lot of energy. He's a smart kid. He understands the game, and he's the leader of our defense right now.
Coach, we've had Dan DeGeorge join us from JV games. Antonio Hall was just talking to us about being at middle school games. How big of a job is that to also keep an eye on the younger kids for your program?
No, it's huge, especially in today's world. Everybody's out trying to recruit your kids. I mean, it's insane anymore how everything goes. But it's important that, you're coaching the coaches, you're coaching the youth programs, and you're trying to, just get everybody on the same page. It keeps the, just the alignment of the program from youth all the way to high school so important.
And Coach, were you aware we had Coach Linda Smith on, and he forgot at halftime that it was homecoming last night, and one of his players was the homecoming king. Were you aware that it was homecoming last night, and Omar Ford, I guess, ended up having to go out there at halftime?
Yeah, how about that? I knew before the game. Omar, he's a character. He's 370-pound nose guard. Was one of those kids, everybody in the school loves him. He had a heck of a game last night. He was all over the field. They had a hard time blocking him, and he's just a good kid.
I like it, Coach. Congratulations on the win, and love to hear about different names on your team this year. We're wishing you luck throughout the rest of the year.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
All right, thanks. Congratulations, Coach and Matt. Outstanding. How about that? Did you hear what he said? They have a 2 fullback set at Glen Oak. Matt is one of the fullbacks, and there's another. So a two fullback set in today's world of let's spread them all out all over the place, right? He's going old school with a 2 fullback set. That's mind-boggling to me, but I guess I shouldn't be that surprised with Scotty's pedigree and what he loves to do.
No doubt about that. So that was actually our WHBCSports.com stream game of the night. I had checked in with Bill Morgan, kind of see how that had went, and he noted Glen Oak was very, very physical in that game, Kenny. So, a Jackson team that we've seen be physical on defense many times, but it's possible when you get wrapped up in the pass, right, and airing it out, things get a little loose, and next thing you know, when you're facing such a tough Glen Oak team, they're coming after you heavy.
Billy, they've come a long way. We had them against Massillon, and Massillon blew their doors off, man. It was a blowout. It was a running clock. It wasn't pretty. And from there to beating Jackson last night, 21-16, and they've got Louisville next week with a chance to get back to 500 on the season at 4-4. That's major progress for that Glen Oak team, and you want to be hitting your stride as you enter the playoffs. So a tip of the cap there to Coach Garcia and the job that he's done this season.
Yeah, for sure. And like we talked about, the Federal League, maybe after week 4, we kind of had a vibe like, hey, this is how it lines up. This will probably how it goes the rest of the year. And next thing you know, Kenny, in these head-to-head matchups, that list, that order, that idea we had of these teams, completely different. And I think that's, in my opinion, I don't know how you're feeling about it, but my understanding of what's happening in the Federal League is definitely changing.
McKinley looks to be the best team in the Fed after what I saw last night, right? And they've already played that extra Federal League game because their last game of the regular season is against Massillon. And as I look it up, and I got papers all over the place here trying to find stuff for us here too. They've got they're at Jackson next week, and then Glen Oak at home. So Glen Oak's going to Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium on October 13th. So those are the next 2. A win next week for McKinley at Jackson guarantees them at least a share of the title. They're hoping to win it outright. But I would put McKinley up there, and I wanted to see Lake. Lake is very good too. Lake's hoping somebody can, knock off McKinley. They'd like a share now after what happened last night. But week in, week out, man, you just never know with the Federal League, right? And that's why that's why they play the games. And it's so true, especially when you're dealing with young kids that are 15 through 18 years old. You just never know from week to week what's going on in their lives, girlfriends, schoolwork, home, whatever it is, that they can be distracted. So just keep plugging away and hope to play your best football in your next game.
Definitely. An opportunity here, Kenny, talk about outside the Federal League a little bit. And this is something we saw coming basically the whole year. I think the last 2 weeks mainly we've tracked it, and that is Poochie Snyder, his record-breaking game, year, career. He is now the all-time passing yards leader for Stark County, which, some of the names on this list are incredible. And, it was nice to see two different schools throughout Stark County, right? So it wasn't just, you may automatically think Massillon and McKinley and Hoover and Lake. No, I mean, you saw Sandy Valley on there, obviously Poochie's at Canton South. So, and a tough night to hear that Poochie ended up hurting his finger, but a big night for him either way, as you kind of look at this graphic here to kind of think about what a great career Poochie's had and how meaningful that record is.
Yeah, a 65-yard touchdown pass from Poochie Snyder to Trey Wilson broke the record that was held by Sandy Valley's Cam Blair, who's now at Ashland. And so Poochie Snyder, the all-time leader in passing yards in Stark County history. Of all the great quarterbacks that have come through Stark County, our Mark Miller, right, played at Canton South, Lenny Dawson at Alliance, Cam Blair, all the great quarterback, Todd Blackledge over the years, right? He is the leader. Most career passing yards in Stark County, 9,209 after he threw that 65-yard touchdown pass. And then unfortunately, on a play, he hurt his pinky finger on his throwing hand and was unable to continue, left the game. They were up 28-7. And, in the game, Canton South gave up that lead to Triway. It was tied 28-28, but give credit to Brody Beagle, who replaced Poochie Snyder. Beagle comes in and throws a game-winning touchdown pass in the fourth quarter to keep Canton perfect on the year, Canton South. They win at 35-28, so they're 7-0 overall and 4-0 in the Pac-7. So it's sad to hear about Poochie. Don't know how serious it is. We were told this, though, Billy. It wasn't or isn't as bad as they first expected. That's what we can say at this point. That's all we know at this point. So don't know what that means. We'll have to wait and see in the coming weeks. So that's good news for Poochie. And the fact that his backup, Beagle, came in through the touchdown and they remain perfect on the year shows the depth that they have there and what Matt Dennison is doing at Canton South.
That's the big emphasis, right? Is that when somebody as valuable and as meaningful as Poochie Snyder goes down, next man up, that speaks to Coach Dennison, that speaks to the staff, the team. They were all clearly ready to go when that opportunity came. And again, I know a lot of people in Stark County right now are praying and thinking about Poochie and wishing him the best. And as you said, Kenny, hoping that more positive news continues to kind of come out.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed for Poochie so he can add to those numbers and be ready for the playoffs. But most importantly, just want him to be healthy, and hearing that it wasn't as bad as they expected. That is a positive, thing to hear on a Saturday morning and be able to pass that along here on the Saturday morning huddle. Billy, real quick, the Federal League standings, I just updated them thanks to Denny Kincaid. McKinley 4-0 at the top of the Federal League standings. The Blue Streaks at 2-1 in second place. And then you've got Jackson at 2-2 and Glen Oak at 2-2. And let's see, Green, I believe, who Green beat yesterday? That was a non-conference game, right? Yeah. So Green is 1-2. So right now you've got McKinley in the driver's seat at 4-0. Lake, the only other team in the league with only one loss. A bunch of teams with 2, and Perry's 0-3 in the Federal League. So McKinley at the top of the Fed right now, and Canton South tied with Northwest atop the Pac-7. Both are 4-0 in that conference.
Yeah, Pac-7 looks to be shifting a certain way, but still some huge games left in that group. Canton South has obviously been tremendous. You feel like Northwest is really, really hot right now. CVCA continues to play good football. Anytime we, check through these scores, Kenny, they've been great in that conference. And then in the Fed, I guess I thought Jackson would be higher. They had some tough games as of late, so they'll look to kind of regroup towards the end. McKinley, looks tremendous. I've watched them. You've watched them. Every time we've really been impressed with what we've seen. Not only does it kind of give you hope for their Federal League standing and the control of the Federal League, but kind of makes you think a little bit. It's hard not to think when I hear week 8, I start thinking about the game in week 10. And I know a lot of people have kind of left comments here and there that maybe this thing will be a little more competitive this year. And I would agree. I like what I'm seeing from McKinley.
Yeah, they've done a great job. They've overcome adversity on and off the field, right? In-game adjustments and everything. And they've got as many skill players as there are in Stark County, Billy. So, yeah, Massillon's the best team in Stark County. Canton South, McKinley right behind them in whatever order you want to put them in. Obviously, if Poochie's healthy, that makes a difference. As you saw yesterday, they were up 28-7. He goes out, it ends up 28-28, but they pull away and get the victory late.
For sure. And going forward, I mean, the slate of games we got coming up, if we get a chance here, we'll go through them. I know you guys just had a good one in Lake at McKinley. I'm excited for a Fairless Canton South matchup next week on the radio. I think that'll be a fun checkout. You know, whether Poochie plays for you guys or not, you know, will be something interesting to kind of see there. And then over on our stream game, we will have trying to track down Green at Perry. So again, we're keeping with the Federal League matchups, right? That's our WHBCsports.com stream game of the week. And YouTube, I believe, is also a Federal League matchup. Yes, it is. We'll be Hoover at Lake. So a great slate of games next week with WHBC.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And look at that. You brought it up, so people are already responding. See, you mentioned Massillon and McKinley, and we get this comment in our inbox. Mass versus McKinley going to be very intense. It's going to be a great game. Absolutely going to be a great game. And that's at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium this year. So, Britt, thanks for that. And we're looking forward to that. The coaches aren't yet because it's 3 weeks away, right? They're worried about week 8, and that's it. But we as media members and fans, we can look at that and start thinking about the fact that Massillon probably is going to be undefeated going into that game, and McKinley may only have one loss going into that game, and should make for a great rendition of that rivalry between those two schools who they respect each other, but they don't like each other. And I'm learning that more and more every year. I'm working at WHBC. And so that's a little bit down the road. Hey, Billy, let's run through the scores from last night.
Yep.
And if you want to pop up some highlights just through this while I go through everything, that'd be great. Our feature game of the night on the radio, it was the Altman Hospital radio game of the week. McKinley beat Lake 29-22. Keaton Roda, 13 of 16, 234 yards, a touchdown, and interception. He ran for 35 yards. 3 for 4 on extra points. Nino Hill, 17 carries, 79 yards, and a score. Keith Quincy grabbed 4 passes from Roda for 122 yards. Stephon Thomas with 2 touchdown runs. Alex Vasquez, big touchdown grab to get them on the board early. He had 3 catches, 55 yards, and that touchdown right there. And for Lake, they got behind 23-7. Outscored McKinley 15-7 in the second half, thanks to Nate Baker, 22 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Noah Kabaski threw a touchdown pass before he injured his ankle. He was on crutches after the game. So thoughts and prayers going out to Noah. Hopefully that's not too serious, but McKinley gets that win yesterday over Lake 29-22. Northwest puts up a 70 spot, Billy. I still can't believe 70 points as they beat Orville 70-45. Our WHBC player of the week, Connor Satterfield, 21 carries, 182 yards, 5 touchdowns. And, he played linebacker too and made some plays on the defensive side of the ball. Parker Kraft, 4 touchdowns combined and over 100 yards rushing, and he threw a touchdown pass. Billy, this may be the thing that stands out the most this week. A fan won an auction item at Northwest at a banquet or something and got to call a play, and he called a double pass, and here it is, and it goes for a touchdown. I mean, have you ever heard that before, Billy, where a coach has let that happen?
No, it just reminds me of The Blind Side when Sandra Bullock calls down and says, "Run the dang ball, Bert."
So
But
it worked.
yeah, this is
you know,
pre-planned. I like it.
yeah, great job by Coach DeMarco and smart football fans there in Northwest. So they get the big win, 70-45 over Orville. We just had Scott Garcia on. Glen Oak gets a win, 21-16 over Jackson. Adrian Burt, almost 200 yards rushing and a score. Avante Burt with a touchdown. Jalen McElroy returns the opening kickoff for Glen Oak in that win over Jackson, 90 yards for a score. Hoover in overtime beats Perry 37-34, and giving some love here on the Brockers Import Automotive Saturday morning huddle to the Hoover Vikings. Mason Ashby with a 20-yard touchdown run in overtime to win it. He also had 6 catches for 85 yards and a score. Zach Rocker, 9 catches, 135 yards and a touchdown. Carson Derlin, 18 of 27, 252 yards throwing the ball, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Kyler Maraglia, who was on with us a short while ago, 22 carries, 126 yards and a touchdown. In a losing effort, Kristen Ivanek, 20 carries, 230 yards, Billy, 2 touchdowns in a losing effort. Second straight week that Kristen Ivanek is gone for over 200 yards, and he was our player of the week last week here on the Saturday morning huddle. Canton South, where there's Poochie Snyder there. Congratulations on becoming the all-time leader in passing yards in Stark County, 9,209 at least, but he had to leave the game with a pinky injury on his throwing hand. Hopefully he's able to heal from that and return this season. Brody Beagle replaced Snyder through a touchdown pass to help Canton South beat Triway 35-28. Trucker Linda Smith joined us from Central Catholic. How about their big win, avenging 2 losses to Mogador in the playoffs over the last 2 years? They beat Mogador 20-13. Dan scoring Boren. We're going with it, Billy. And we're keeping it and we're running with it, man. 129 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also had an interception on defense for Dan scoring Boren from Central Catholic as they get the win over Mogador. Manchester beat Tuslaw 19-7. Manchester ends a 19-game losing streak with that win over Tuslaw yesterday. Ridgewood knocked off Sandy Valley 35-21. Cardinals actually led that game 21-20 in the third quarter, but they were outscored 15-0 in the fourth quarter, and the Cardinals take the loss. Let's see here. Strasburg beat East Canton 12-7 yesterday. It was Southeast 21-8 over St. Thomas. That's 23 in a row, unfortunately, for St. Thomas. Louisville, a loser yesterday to Green 42-7. Cam Doherty, the only touchdown there for the Leps. Tyson Sergeant Hunka. Have you ever seen Stripes, Billy? Ever seen the movie Stripes? You're too young. For the older crowd watching, Stripes, Sergeant Hulka, right? Well, I'm calling him Sergeant Hunka. Tyson Hunka, the backup quarterback, doing a great job for Green. 6 of 11, 73 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 10 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns as Green beat Louisville 42-7. Massillon, a 28-7 winner over St. John's College out of D.C. St. John's led this game 7-0. DeJuan Owens cleared to play by the OHSAA, throws for 153 yards and a touchdown, rushes for 43 more yards and a touchdown. Dorian Pringle, Michael Wright Jr., each with a touchdown run. Braylon Tolles, 4 catches, 103 yards and a touchdown grab in that win. And they held DeJuan Riggs to only 73 yards for St. John's yesterday. He's going to Oregon. And, of course, that game was called at the 6:45 mark of the fourth quarter. Personal foul penalties, some scuffles on the field. The coaches agreed best thing to do, just call it at the 6:45 mark. So Massillon wins it 28-7. St. John's, 16 penalties, 157 yards. Good that they called it and nobody got seriously hurt or any other issues from that game. Carrollton with the upset of the weekend, Billy. Carrollton upsets Alliance 31-28. I was reading the article in the paper. Ball control, shrink the game, keep Zerbrug off the field. It worked to perfection. Zerbrug and the boys from Alliance got it back to 31-28 in the fourth quarter. But how about this? Carrollton able to run out the clock over the final 6 minutes, so Zerbrug didn't get the ball back for Alliance, and Alliance falls to 4-3 on the year, and that's a big EBC loss for them. They might have been looking ahead to next week's game against West Branch, because that's what it came down to last year. You can't peek ahead. That's why the coaches say week to week and only worry about who you're playing that week. Brendan Zerba in a losing effort, 200 yards passing, 89 rushing, and a couple of touchdowns. West Branch beat Marlington 56-0. It was Salem 36-7 over Minerva. First win this year for Salem. 26th consecutive loss for Minerva in that game last night. CVCA shut out Fairless 23-0. And Melbourne rolls again, 28-7. Jared Witherow, 16 of 21, 278 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, as Melbourne now 6-1 on the year. So that gets you caught up on all the games from in and around Stark County last night.
And if you missed one of those scores, you can go to WHBCsports.com. Right now, all you have to do is change it from Saturday to Friday, and it'll guide you through all the scores. You can also change the date to next Friday. Go ahead and take a look at the games coming up, and then you can go to everything else we've got going on there. Great articles from everybody on our team, our games that we have coming up, things to, it'll have the rewatch episodes here if you want to go back a week or two. And Kenny, gathered from that, I will say Kenny Roda has not steered me wrong on movie recommendations. So I will try out Stripes. I will. Isn't that Bill Murray? Is that Bill Murray?
Absolutely. Bill Murray is the star. I've got the movie poster hanging in my garage. One of my all-time favorite movies. Sergeant Hulka. John Candy's in that as Dewey Oxberger. Aggressive gambler, Mr. Vegas. You can't go wrong with Stripes. I'm telling you, it's Harold Ramis helped write and direct it, I think, and starred in it with, Bill Murray. And of course, they hooked up in Ghostbusters. So I don't think you will be disappointed in what Dan Larroquette from Night Court is in there. So it's just a fantastic, it's hysterical. It's a great movie. You're going to enjoy that whenever you get a chance.
What a show today. We go through the scores. We had guests. We had highlights. We talked movies. We talk family, we talk food, play calling. I'm not sure there's a more action-packed episode that we've done so far.
No, I think this has been the best, with the exception of me fumbling and calling Mason Connor Ashby. Other than that, we've been right on things here today. You got to own it, Billy, when you make that mistake, the turnover, right? So other than that, it's been really good. And again, we want to give a shout out to Antonio Hall's mom, Venus. And Billy, there she is. There's Rick Worstel, 1981 state championship quarterback for the McKinley Bulldogs. He joins me every week for the Altcare Stadium show. She hooked us up with some fantastic food. I mean, top-notch food. Scratch Steakhouse in Louisville. Nothing but cakes there for the dessert. And there's me, what do you call me, Fred Flintstone?
It's a good pick. That's a good pick. It might be a good LinkedIn pick for you.
Look at that pork chop. We had plastic silverware. I'm like, there ain't no way plastic silverware is cutting that pork chop that they gave us yesterday from Scratch Steakhouse. Show the up close video of my plate that I was there. It is. Look, it does look like something from the cartoon, the Flintstones. And that's how I ate it yesterday, man. And I didn't eat the whole thing. It was so big. I saved some of it to watch some college games this afternoon. But Billy, we have my video, right? I think I shot the video. Let's run that right here, if you don't mind, of me giving you basically a play-by-play description of what was in the press box yesterday at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium as everybody's coming for Northwest in our WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge. All right, so McKinley coming strong in the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge this year, and we've got to give a shout out to Scratch Steakhouse in Louisville as they provided this meal for us. Look at that pork chop. That thing must weigh a pound. Holy cow. Our gratin potatoes, and then some green beans, yellow beans, and carrots. That's the meal for us here in the press box for WHBC. And then Kenny Peterson coming through big time. Nothing but cakes with all the different flavors in the buntinis that he knows I love, absolutely love. So a big shout out and thank you to Venus Paul, Antonio's mom, who organized all of this for us. Keaton Rody's mom, Dana, she picked up the food for us at the Scratch Steakhouse in Louisville, and also Alex Vasquez's mom picked up the bundt cakes. So we are eating, and McKinley, you've brought it strong here today in the press box, and I can't question you anymore with the food. And on top of that, they even had some burgers and hot dogs set up down there with an open cooler as well. So thank you to the McKinley Boosters. Thank you to the Scratch Steakhouse. And thank you to everybody as we're having a lot of fun with the WHBC Press Box Food Fight Challenge. And tune in Monday to find out where McKinley ranks in our top 7 this year. Billy, right? We'll have the new rankings out on Monday on the Kenny and JT show to see if, that meal was enough to knock off the number 1 school right now, which is Perry 3737 Kitchen. And that means we'll have rankings 1 through 7. And heading into week 8 next week. And where are we? I'm looking up at our schedule here. Where are we next week, Billy, on the radio? South. We are at Canton South. Yeah. So we'll see what goes on at Canton South next week. As I've got my Browns schedule, my Monday Night Football schedule, my Ohio State schedule, and then all 3 of our schedules up on my wall here in the office, trying to organize things as best I can. But yeah, great food, great fun last night at Tom Benson all the way around. So thanks to all the schools for participating and having fun with us in the Food Fight Challenge.
What I will say for your situation there with the food, even if McKinley doesn't take first, they weren't in the top 5, right?
They weren't ranked even last year. Yeah. They weren't ranked because we got nothing. We didn't even get water last year, and they heard that. And Joe Bogdan, thank you, stepping up, and whoever else over there did a great job. And so fantastic, outstanding.
They're in now, right? They're in. They've been invited to the dance.
They are. They are in the running, and not just in the running. Seriously, in the running, Billy. I mean, it's big time. And I know Rick Wright over there at Northwest is taking notes, and he fed our guys last night big time. For the YouTube game of the week, as they have broiled chicken yesterday, I think, and potatoes and homemade rolls, and all the great food over there. So that was for the YouTube group. So it's going to be fun to see. What is going to be fed to us when we go there for that final Friday of the regular season, Billy.
Great way always to kind of wrap the show up. Gets me hungry for lunch when we wrap things up here. I will say I want to shout out our guests today. We appreciate Coach John DeMarco and Connor Satterfield for stopping by. Coach Antonio Hall had a good time with us today, talking football, family, food with him. Trucker was fun as we did a little yoga. I'm interested to see if that ends up being a drill they do. Maybe that's something they'll end up practicing to keep everybody on high alert.
Scorpion, baby.
Oh, man. Tough to look at, right? That is just something special to kind of
look at you finding the scorpion online in the middle of the show today.
Love it. Love it. And then Coach Baum, appreciate him jumping on. Always brings the players. They're always open to discussing what happened the night before, so we appreciate them. And then Scott Garcia, live from the sidelines of the JV games, Kenny, breaking it down for us, how important it is for these coaches to be at middle school, JV, talking with the young kids, the young polar bears, I think Jackson calls their kids. Right. I saw all the young kids at Fairless when we were there 2 weeks ago. So the coaches aren't just doing one thing, coaching the guys they have and waiting for the next group. They are Saturday morning, taking calls from us while they're on the sideline watching a little JV.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to the At Your Table Cafe, Billy. It is the At Your Table Cafe and Catering. They fed the YouTube game yesterday. Chicken, broiled potatoes, green beans, homemade rolls, and we've had their food in previous years at Northwest. So thank you, At Your Table Cafe, and we're looking forward to being back there in Week 10 and looking forward to the remaining games in the regular season and the postseason and getting up early with everybody on Saturday morning for the Huddle.
No doubt about it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, thank you to our guests. If you want to rewatch this show, Facebook or YouTube, we also encourage you to go back and rewatch that 70-point performance on our YouTube Game of the Week by Northwest against Orville. That is on YouTube right now. You can jump in right away. You can fast forward to the scores. You can jump to a certain play, however you want to do it. And then, of course, that'll continue throughout the season. We will not have another we will be live for Massillon McKinley. But besides that, everything else will be ready to go at 10 p.m. So you can stay tuned for that on our YouTube. Thank you for joining the Saturday Morning Huddle. For Kenny Roda, I'm Billy Beebe. Join us next week in the Huddle.